Formula One is the most technologically advanced, high-speed, high-stakes motorsport on the planet. Every crash isn't just a heart-stopping moment. It's also a financial disaster. Today, we're breaking down the most expensive crashes in Formula One history, how they happened, what they cost, and why these moments pushed teams to the absolute financial limit. Before we jump into the list, you need to understand something important. F1 cars are insanely expensive. A front wing alone costs over $150,000. A gearbox? $600,000. A full power unit? More than $10 million across a season. Even a small crash creates a massive bill. And in the modern era, this matters more than ever because of the FIA's cost cap, which limits how much teams can spend in a season. That means one badly timed crash can ruin more than just a race. It can destroy a team's development budget or even sabotage an entire season. With that in mind, let's start with one of the most infamous, Monaco, the tightest, most glamorous, and most unforgiving circuit in Formula One. And in 2021, Charles Leclerc delivered one of the most expensive heartbreaks of the modern era. During qualifying, Leclerc was on provisional pole. On his final push lap, he clipped the inside wall at the swimming pool chicane and slammed hard into the barriers. Ferrari initially believed the damage was manageable. Leclerc kept pole position. But on race day, the real problem appeared. A cracked drive shaft that Ferrari didn't detect in time. Cost estimates for the crash and collateral damage, around $2 to $3 million. Even worse, he never even started the race. Ferrari lost potential victory points, repair budget, and valuable momentum. A costly crash, with zero reward. Not all expensive crashes involve massive debris or dramatic explosions. Sometimes the cost comes from what was lost. In Germany 2018, Vettel was leading his home Grand Prix. The rain came in, grip disappeared, and with thousands of German fans watching, he slid into the barriers. A slow, heartbreaking moment, but financially devastating. The crash itself cost Ferrari hundreds of thousands in repairs. But the real price? The championship lead. That single mistake opened the door for Lewis Hamilton to take the win, swing the standings, and eventually take the world championship. A relatively small crash, with massive consequences. Team-on-team crashes are rare. Team-on-team crashes between title rivals? That's a nightmare. At the 2016 Spanish Grand Prix, Hamilton and Rosberg collided on lap 1 in one of the most expensive intra-team accidents ever recorded. Both drivers were out immediately. 2 cars destroyed. Championship points gone. And Mercedes had to explain the disaster to the board. Cost estimates? Somewhere around $3 to $4 million in combined damage. But more importantly, this crash ignited one of the most intense teammate rivalries in F1 history. Expensive financially, even more expensive politically. In 2021, the championship fight between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton exploded, literally, at Silverstone. On the opening lap, Verstappen and Hamilton fought side by side through Copse Corner. They touched wheels, and Verstappen was sent flying into the barrier at 51G. Thankfully, he was okay. But the car? Completely destroyed. Red Bull later reported the cost of the crash as $1.8 million. And remember, this was during the cost cap era. That $1.8 million was like losing an entire upgrade package. It wasn't just a crash, it was a turning point in one of F1's most intense title seasons ever. The Jeddah circuit is one of the fastest street tracks in the world, and in 2022, it produced one of the most expensive single-car crashes modern F1 has ever seen. During Q2, Mick Schumacher lost control at incredible speed and slammed into the concrete barriers. The force ripped the car in half. Haas later reported the damage cost to be around $1 million. For a top team, that's painful. For Haas, operating on one of the smallest budgets in F1, it was catastrophic. The team had to skip the race rebuild, impacting their season development and forcing cost-saving measures for months. This was the moment that demonstrated how financially vulnerable small teams are under the cost cap. Some crashes are astonishing not just for their cost, but for their violence. At the 2022 British Grand Prix, Zhou Guanyu was involved in a terrifying multi-car crash that sent his Alfa Romeo flipping upside down, skidding hundreds of meters and launching over the tire barrier. The Halo device likely saved his life, but the car was destroyed almost completely. Estimated cost: over $1.5 to $2 million. The survival cell performed perfectly, a reminder that expensive safety engineering isn't optional in this sport. It's the reason drivers walk away from crashes that would have been deadly 20 years ago. Few moments in modern F1 are as unforgettable as Romain Grosjean's fiery crash in Bahrain 2020. On lap 1, Grosjean clipped Daniil Kvyat and speared into the barriers at over 140 miles per hour. His car split in half, fuel ignited, and a wall of flames erupted. Miraculously, Grosjean escaped with only minor burns. In terms of cost, this was one of the most expensive crashes of the hybrid era. The car was a total loss. Estimated damage: $2 to $3 million, potentially more. But the real cost was the reminder to the sport just how vital constant safety innovation is. This crash changed barrier design, car construction, and driver protection rules nearly overnight. This one is legendary, not for the damage bill, but for the consequences. At the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, Nicholas Latifi crashed late in the race, bringing out a safety car. The resulting restart and the FIA's controversial decisions completely flipped the championship on its head. The crash itself likely cost Williams around $400,000 to $500,000. But the true cost? A massively controversial title decider, one of the most debated endings in sporting history, and an incident that changed FIA regulations forever. A relatively cheap crash, with the most expensive consequences imaginable. Now we go back to one of the biggest crash bills in Formula One history. The 1998 Belgian Grand Prix at Spa-Francorchamps was wet, chaotic, and nearly impossible to see through. On lap 1, David Coulthard lost control, triggering a massive pileup. 13 cars were destroyed in seconds. Front wings, side pods, suspension pieces, everything shattered. The estimated combined cost in today's money? Over $15 million. Teams were literally running out of spare parts. Some had to rebuild cars from scratch for the restart. This remains one of the most expensive crashes in motorsport history, rivaled only by NASCAR's massive Daytona pileups. Formula One crashes are dramatic, frightening, and unbelievably expensive. But they also show us why F1 engineering, safety systems, and driver skill are at the absolute limit of what's possible. Which crash shocked you the most? And which one should we break down in full detail next? Let me know in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of Formula One.